But first, new at 11, do you know where your kids are? It's about 11 o'clock. Well, we found a lot of Bay Area kids partying the night away at Raves. Tampa officials tried to stamp them out with a 3 a.m. curfew, but 28 Investigates reporter Ken Kaltoff found Raves still going strong in the heart of Tampa. Clubs say they don't condone drug use, but we saw lots of drugs and what looked like raving madness.
It's the middle of the night. Most people are sleeping. Not these guys. Their party's just getting started at the Fantasy Ranch. Every Sunday morning at this strip club, the nude women put their clothes on at 3 a.m. and the club fills with young people. It's strobe lights, loud music, and lots of people dancing. Young people like Jane.
You're just like, you go into it and you like it because you're just so accepted and so loved and everyone knows you.
This young lady is just 17, but she's a veteran of many Bay Area raves. We're calling her Jane to protect her identity.
I've never been to a rave and not been messed up. I just can't see that happening. There'd be no reason for me to go.
Jane has not been to the Fantasy Ranch because she's confined in drug rehabilitation, but she's heard this rave is the biggest one yet. For a $10 cover charge, the party lasts all night, and drugs are everywhere. The rave starts here in the parking lot before the doors open. We saw open drinking and drug use. Jane says these scenes are common for ravers.
And first you just hang out in the parking lot for like a couple hours, and you buy your pills, ecstasy, packets of heroin, your needles, spoons, cotton, whatever you need for the night. If you're a girl, you just walk around and flirt a lot and get it for free.
The 28 Investigates team took undercover cameras inside to show you what's going on at the Fantasy Ranch rave. We found drugs inside. That's a marijuana cigarette in a dark corner of the club. We overheard kids boasting about using acid and crystal meth. Our producer was offered cocaine. Jane says this is a typical rave.
You basically can tell what people are on, you know. Just from the way they dance. If people are dancing really a lot, they're probably on ecstasy.
Ecstasy is the drug of choice for many ravers. It's an illegal amphetamine-based pill that produces a psychedelic feeling of euphoria. We found many rituals here which ravers say heighten the ecstasy experience, like glow-stick dances and young people sniffing surgical masks apparently lined with menthol rub.
Sounds like a rush through your body, I guess.
Over-the-counter inhalers are a big commodity at raves. They are snorted and even blown into the eyes of fellow ravers to supposedly enhance the ecstasy rush. We found people lined up with money in hand for a massage service set up in the men's room.
That's the massage thing. When they give massages, it's ecstasy.
But that kid is seriously high.
We showed our pictures to Tom Welch, a teen drug counseling expert in St. Petersburg. He was shocked at the size of this business.
It's very alarming because it teaches children, it's almost like a social condoning kind of thing, and it teaches children that, you know, it's okay. And it's way out of the mainstream.
Everyone is doing it. That's, you know, that's what the message is. Everyone's doing it.
But now Jane is in court-ordered drug treatment. Her mother says they went through hell, and she blames all-night raves for much of Jane's problem.
I don't understand why it's being allowed. I have no idea how someone in legal authority can permit this to happen.
Meanwhile, back at the Fantasy Ranch, the sun is coming up, but the party is still going strong.
It's cold with smoke. But, you know, no. See, what it is that the smoke's coming down. Everybody comes here to have fun.
All the young people we spoke with in the parking lot claim the rave is really not about drugs.
Yeah, it's a place where kids can get together and have fun. Yeah. It's all it's about, you know?
Fantasy Ranch management insists drugs are not condoned.
We sound a laser light show, a great sound. We're not just some dump.
We don't serve alcohol. We don't condone any drug use here. Obviously, it's happening at whatever level you want to say it is, but we don't condone it.
Then why is drug paraphernalia for sale right inside the club? Why did we see one club security person drinking beer in the parking lot right along with the kids? And why have paramedics repeatedly been called to the Fantasy Ranch for apparent drug overdoses? This 911 call came the night we were there.
What's the address of the emergency?
4811 West Cypress.
What's the problem?
Somebody passed out in the middle of the club.
Overdose overdoses are what scared Jane, even though she's still struggling to leave the rave culture behind.
I'd rather be alive than be dead.
And it would have happened?
Definitely. I OD'd like 3 times.
The emergency at the Fantasy Ranch scared these girls too.
Yeah, it scared me to death. I was standing there like, oh my God, that could be me.
17-year-old Jane says parents should be worried about their kids at the rave.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at him, you know? I'm definitely worried about him.
His mother says the business people who stage raves should feel responsible.
I believe that they're predators, that they're there for the money, that they have no conscience, and either they're aware or they don't care of how it affects our children.
The Fantasy Ranch says everyone must be at least 18 years old to enter, that it has lots of security to enforce that, and adults should be responsible for their behavior. But ravers say minors have plenty of ways to get in. What do authorities say? Well, several times we saw Tampa police cars drive right by the Fantasy Ranch rave. Police have been called to disturbances there in the past, but they paid little attention to the crowd the times we watched. Police have raided other Tampa raves in the past, and last year Tampa Councilman Bob Buckhorn let a move to close raves at 3 a.m. We showed him some of what we found now.
I mean, clearly that is a willful attempt to circumvent the laws that we passed. I mean, it's wrong. Those people have sold their souls for the $10,000 that they're going to make. Those club owners ought to be more responsible in this.
But Tampa's law only closes clubs that serve alcohol. It does not apply to the Fantasy Ranch. The councilman says Tampa does have a juvenile curfew. He says police should be enforcing that and other possible violations at the Fantasy Ranch. Deputy Police Chief Ken Taylor would only say he's aware of the place and that there is an ongoing criminal investigation. We're not sure what that's all about, but we do know police are investigating the death of 19-year-old Christopher Schursty. His body was found floating in Tampa Bay last Sunday. He is said to have been heavily involved in drug use, and he was a well-known visitor at the Fantasy Ranch. The Fantasy Ranch is not the only rave we found. Schursty was also well known at a second rave we visited. On the other side of the bay, a place called Moongate is tucked behind an adult bookstore beside the dog track on Gandy Boulevard near St. Petersburg. Drugs were not quite as obvious out in the parking lot at Moongate, but drugs were clearly inside. And the young patrons here were feeling very cozy inside around 5 a.m. one Saturday when we took these pictures. Marty, Brendan?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are just stunned by what they see. I know, I'm surprised. I'm sure there are some people out there who aren't really surprised at this, but what can parents do?
It's pretty amazing stuff, and it's got to be frightening to a parent.
I mean, it just goes on. It's just, that's incredible.
Well, you got to ask your kids a lot of questions. You can't just believe everything that you're being told. A lot of these kids have told us that one would tell their parents that they're going to someone else's house, the other would say they're going to that person's house and they're really going to the rave. So if they're telling you that, you might want to ask a couple of extra questions. Also watch for some of those drastic changes that might be indicative of drug use. A lot of changes in behavior, grades, friends, activities. These things might signal trouble. Maybe you need to get some help if you're seeing that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we've all gone to parties, especially when we were younger, but this is so out in the open.
We were all young once,
well,
but
they're
this
out
is
all
different.
night.